far from my hometown, Shreveport, Louisiana, is Paris, Texas. And its most famous native son is a guy who became a Hall of Fame coach. Gene Stallings learned the game from some of the best, Tom Landry and Bear Bryant, and reached the promised land, leading Alabama to a national title in 1992. But for all he's done on the football field, the man nicknamed Beebs is most proud of his work for special needs children. I got a chance to visit the Hall of Famer at his ranch to talk about his football career and life with his son Johnny. At 2 hours north of Dallas, and believe it or not, you're smack dab in the middle of Paris. This historic small town has a familiar landmark like its more famous cousin, of course with a little Texas flavor. About 10 minutes north of Paris is Powderly, a place where you'll find the Hikeaway Ranch and a college football Hall of Famer. Gene Stallings is known for his time on the football field, but out here, this 79-year-old is just another rancher.
Here comes some of the cows coming up right here.
I'm driving up to the Hikeaway Ranch, and I'm thinking to myself, wow. I remember hearing Beebs was the president of the FFA, Future Farmers of America. It's amazing that I'm sitting with you just after you've been working with some cattle here today.
First of all, I really liked D.B. Shelton. He taught agriculture in those days. In fact, I was telling somebody last night, I worked for him all day, cleaned out all of his stalls, and he had just a few acres of land. His wife would fix a good meal as part of my payment. I made $3 a day, but I got a good meal. So he got me started in the FFA. Now these cows are called Bons Mora. They came from South Africa.
Yeah, get out of here!
Go! Hey Benji, in here do we have those things to cut the fly tie? You knew I was looking for that, didn't you? I enjoy this. I enjoy my animals looking good. We're putting fly tags on them right now as well as worming them. And you can see we've got plenty of grass for them to eat. You know, it's just something that I've always enjoyed. In fact, those pens that you're looking at right now, I built those pens. So, you know, you take a certain amount of pride when you build something yourself. Just like this property. I bought it a long time ago. It's worth a whole lot more now than when I bought it.
After starring at Paris High School, Stallings decided to head down the road to Texas A&M. And after 1 year, he was joined by the man who would soon become a legend. When Coach Bryant came, it well documented the turnaround, and you became a Junction Boy, all that took place. What was that like, and just the early influence?
Well, first of all, we didn't know who Coach Bryant was. You know, the only thing we knew was the old Southwest Conference. Now somebody's coming in from Kentucky. I'd say most of us didn't even know where Kentucky was, but I can remember going to when they introduced Coach Bryant to the student body. It was an outside arena. And we didn't know who he was, but it didn't take us long to know that this man meant some business.
You only win the one game your first year as a collegiate, and then all of a sudden by the end, you're 9-0-1 as a senior.
Coach Bryant wants a meeting down in the lobby. So we all go down to the lobby of the dorm. This is like midnight. Mm-hmm. And he gives us a capsule. And inside that capsule, there's a little mustard seed. And so he was telling us about the parable in the Bible about the faith of a grain of mustard seed. And he said, now I'm telling you that if you'll just hang in here, we'll win the championship before you leave.
The Aggies made good on that promise as they won the Southwest Conference title in Stallings' senior season. 1 year after graduation, Stallings followed his head coach to Tuscaloosa as a member of Bryant's first staff at Alabama. whether you were at Texas A&M or at Alabama, being with him and understanding what it was like to play and coach, but particularly coach on a national championship team, really spoke volumes to you.
We were all afraid of Coach Bryant. Anybody says he wasn't, I doubt if he's telling the truth, but we all wanted to please him. Now, obviously, he was knowledgeable, but if you have everybody want to please you, it makes your job a little easier.
Stallings returned to College Station in 1965 at the age of 29 to coach his alma mater. 7 years there were highlighted by a Southwest Conference title in 1967 and a win over his mentor in the '68 Cotton Bowl.
Well, first of all, it was totally unexpected. I can't tell you how happy I was when we won the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thrilled that we were going to play Coach Bryant. The reason that I wanted Texas A&M to play Alabama is I wanted our players to have a little glimpse of who I thought was the greatest college coach ever.
In 1972, Stallings began his career in the NFL, including 14 years as an assistant for Tom Landry with the Dallas Cowboys. 3 Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl win in 1978 helped Stallings become the head coach for the St. Louis Cardinals. 4 years there ended when he was let go in '89. Stallings didn't stay home long.
I'm interviewing at Navy. And in fact, I'm out there and it just happened to turn on the television to see where Bill Curry resigns from Alabama. Hootie Ingram, who I have great respect for, was the athletic director. And Hootie called me and we visited over the phone, and he and Dr. Sayers came to Paris, and we visited out at Paris Junior College for a while, and they offered me the job.
I told people upon your being hired at Alabama as the head coach, he is the closest thing to Bear Bryant with a pulse. Now, when you hear that, what's your reaction?
I don't believe it. I mean, there's just one Coach Bryant. And one thing that I know about the coaching profession is you've got to coach your own personality. Nobody loved Coach Bryant any more than I did. A lot of us loved Coach Bryant. Mm-hmm. But I didn't try to imitate. I could no more handle a team the way Coach Bryant could than I could fly.
Big trouble. Nice touch. Palmer has it. Guess who that is? It is caught! Touchdown, Bama! Crimson all over him, and it's intercepted by Alabama.
You had a really good season in '91, 11-1. You were 5th in the country. You had some really solid players, Palmer, Barker, Lassick, all these guys. And now all of a sudden the '92 season comes up. Copeland, Curry, George Teague, just an incredible array of talent on both sides of the ball. Were you, after the '91 season, smelling something extra special in '92?
Not until we were 8-0. We were an excellent defensive football team, and we could run the football pretty well. But as far as looking ahead, I didn't until once we were 8-0, I said, got a chance.
He's done it again. On 3rd down, man open, touchdown.
All right, the Sugar Bowl. There weren't many people out there giving Alabama much of a chance.
Except me.
Miami was a prohibitive favorite in that game.
Except me.
And your team, and you got your guys to buy in.
And if you remember, every press conference I always said I felt like we had the best football team. I couldn't understand why we were a big underdog. Led the nation in defense. We could run the football. We didn't turn it over just a whole lot. It wasn't like we had played some pretty good teams.
No.
Now all of a sudden, Miami didn't put any fear into me. I mean, they were just, to me, they were the next game on our schedule. I thought they should be the one to be a little worried, not us.
Stallings was a prophet. The Tide dismantled Miami 34-13 to win its first national title since 1979.
3, 2, 1, touchdown, touchdown! Intercepted Teague, touchdown, touchdown! And this is a wild scene of bedlam here at the Superdome.
If you're going to be really received in Alabama. You know, you're not going, I've said this a jillion times, people in Alabama love Coach Bryant. They just tolerated the rest of us. But if you could win a national championship, at least you could be accepted just a little bit.
The Tide went on to play 32 straight games without a loss and win the SEC West 3 of the next 4 years. Then in 1996, after a win in the Iron Bowl, Gene Stallings made an announcement. The decision to step down, though, when it happened, were you as ready to come back to the ranch and to spend as much time with your family? What was it that drove you to do it then?
I wasn't really ready to say quit coaching. I loved Hootie Ingram, the guy that gave me a job, but he no longer was the athletic director. I loved Dr. Sayers, who was the president that gave me a job. He's no longer the president. So I didn't feel like the athletic director and the president and myself were on the same page on everything.
Yeah.
So that being the case, I just decided that the best thing I could do was step aside because rank has its privilege.
So after 7 years at the Capstone, Stallings left his football career behind and went home to Powderly to become a full-time rancher. And this is where we find out about the special relationship he had with his son, Johnny.
You know, if I did one thing in my coaching profession, I would hope that it was make the awareness of the child with the special needs just a little bit better.
The heartfelt story of a father and a son coming up next on Haviland Football Saturdays.
My life wouldn't have been nearly as rich if I hadn't had Johnny.
In 1956, Gene Stallings married his high school sweetheart, Ruth Ann Jack, and soon after started a family, 4 daughters and a son. His only son, John Mark Stallings, was born in 1962 while his dad was an assistant at Alabama. When Johnny was born, and you were aware of what was the lifestyle that was going to not only be his, but the impact it was going to have on yours and Ruth Ann's. What was that like?
Devastating. I mean, when the doctor told me in the hall, I asked him, is anything wrong with the baby? And he said, yes, we think that baby's a mongoloid. We don't even use that word now. My reaction was to hit him. I don't know why, but I drew back and I passed out. Everything can run through your mind. I can't tell you how many people recommended that we put Johnny in the institution and let them raise him. And we decided we're going to raise him best we could. Didn't know books to read, didn't know people that had one, and we said we're just going to treat him like the rest of the family.
Think about it now. Ruth Ann, you guys were told he wouldn't last past 10 years.
Oh yeah, they said it'd never make 2, and then they said wouldn't make 11. There was a pediatric cardiologist in Houston, and every time we'd take him, I'd say, now how long is he going to live?
Right.
He said, look, nobody knows, and I'm tired of you asking me that question. Don't ever ask it again. He said, you enjoy him as long as you have him.
Everywhere Coach went, Johnny tagged along. On the football field, meeting U.S. presidents, and even taking a nap while his dad worked late in the office. Johnny had a presence about him as he worked a room, just like his pop.
I think the birth of Johnny and the genuine acceptance that evolved over those tough first years, which were very, very tough on them. I think that he learned so much about unconditional love.
When I did retire, then I'd put Johnny to bed. He'd say, Pop, what me and you gonna do tomorrow? That was his little gift. He was interested in people, and people were interested in him.
And like their time on the football field, Johnny and his pops were side by side on the ranch.
When we were working cattle, he always came. He'd get his boots out and he didn't want me to leave without him. Even in his latter years, he would come down here and stay with us the whole time.
12 years after moving back to Powderly, in August of 2008, John Stallings died at the age of 46. It just had to be, for you, I'm thinking, like at the deepest, darkest of moments, because he was so attached. You guys, as you said, you were much closer than the normal father-son would be, but that also made the loss of him, I'm guessing, all the deeper for you.
Well, I've said this a number of times. My complaining days are over. I don't mind telling you my legs hurting something.
Yeah.
Johnny's in his bedroom right here. He's having a hard time breathing. Tell he's fretful. Those of us that have children, we can tell him something not right. I go and get in bed with him. He's just having a hard time breathing. I check his oxygen saturation. Everybody's in the 90s. Everybody is. If you fall below 90, you're ready for ICU. I said, I checked Johnny. He was 63. I said, Johnny, how do you feel? He said, I'm fine. I'm fine. Passed away the next morning.
That part of it, too, to have him so near and dear to you, his last resting place, to be here with you on the ranch.
Yeah. You know, Johnny would say, I love the farm on a beautiful day. And that's on his tombstone. And all of us that live in the country, we need rain every once in a while. And one of the things Johnny would say is, God loves rain. You know, you would hear me talk about we need some rain.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It just reminded me that God loves it when it rains.
Johnny's death left a huge hole in the Stallings family, but they found some comfort in the Rise School. In 1990, when Stallings became the head coach at Alabama, he saw an opportunity to help the school, a center for children with special needs in Tuscaloosa.
We didn't have an identity until Coach Stallings came here. We were living in an old dorm, totally inappropriate for a school, no room whatsoever. After he came, that's when everything changed.
The Rise School that was built in Tuscaloosa, I think that's really I think that's probably what you're remembered for most.
You know, you can get a little bit more when you win a game or two. So I remember visiting with Dr. Sayers saying, we need a facility where we can build a Rise School. And I remember he telling us if we could raise so much money, and had a hard time raising that much, but Pete Hanna, a dear friend of mine, happened to be there and said, look, I'll give you $1 million, let's just go ahead and build that school. And Pete Hanna, Jim Harrison, and some people that really made it possible.
And in 1994, the Stallings Center opened its doors.
For about a year, Johnny called this the Stallings Center, and after that, he slipped into calling it his building. And in so many ways it was. Had Johnny not been born, you know, I don't know what direction Coach Stallings' life would have taken.
Every time Johnny would introduce me, he would say the same thing.
I love my pop. Probably love me. Got good head coach, Denny Clowney. Got good my background.
I love my pop. My pop loves me. Head coach, Alabama, Gene Sullivan. I always enjoy Johnny introducing me, but he forgets that I'm not the coach here anymore.
When you go back there, and so much of his memory resonates every time you're there, but when you see other kids with Down syndrome that you're able to see, that whole love affair, what's that like for you?
Well, first of all, I try to be as kind as I can. But that child with special needs, he wants somebody to talk to him and hug him and tell him he's doing a good job, and I try to do that as much as I can. How you doing?
I do.
Oh, man. One of Johnny's good little friends right here.
Yeah, I am. I miss him.
Yeah, he misses you too.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? You know what, I don't blame you.
So in its 20th year,
Hey, guys.
the Rise School has over 100 children from ages 6 weeks to 6 years, half with a disability and half without. Your legacy, coach, player, father, what most would you want your legacy to
Well,
be?
maybe just I was fair, and you know, I was honest with them, and you know, there's a jillion better coaches than I am. I understand that. My real joy in coaching was see that player be successful.
We hereby dedicate this playground.
If there's one thing that I did in my coaching profession, it was perhaps make the awareness of the child with special needs. Where it wasn't as bad as they thought it was, because they'd see Johnny, see what he would do. And I know winning games is important, but helping these children have a better quality of life is a whole lot more important than winning a few games.
What a quality of life Jean, Ruth Ann, and their 4 girls made for Johnny. An incredible life. In fact, the Crimson Tide Equipment Room, named after Johnny, as well as a street on the campus, the playground at the Stallings Center, and a statue and the football field at Faulkner University in Montgomery, named after not the father, but the son. Johnny made a difference everywhere he went and whoever he met. When Alabama won the national title, Johnny said it all. Good job, Pops. Indeed.